Good morning, friends. This morning session is dedicated to class 11 as the schools are now resuming the reopening after the long break, due to COVID-19. The schools were closed, and after a long time, class 11 and 9 maybe resumed. So now the classes will run, and there will be a quick revision of all the lessons, and perhaps the after 1 or 2 months they will have to face the annual exam also. So the most important thing that is there, that let us revise the lessons quickly, so that they will have the gist of the lessons in their mind. So in order to enlighten their preparation and their revision, I am starting from the very first poem, a photograph by Shirley Toulson. Shirley Townsend's A Photograph describes the three stages. In the first stage, the poet's mother is standing with her two girl cousins at the sea beach, and they are smiling. They are at a sea holiday. The three are standing at a sea beach, and they're enjoying a sea holiday. That time the mother was just 12 years old, 12 or 13 years old at that time. The second photograph shows how the mother is laughing at that very photograph to see how ironically how they were dressed up. Her two cousins Betty and Dolly, and the poet's mother, how they were dressed up for that occasion. So looking at the photograph taken long ago, the poet's mother is laughing, and the third stage describes when the poet remembers her mother looking at the photographs and turns into nostalgic feeling. She remembers her mother seeing at the photograph with a heavy heart. Now the summary of the poem. The poem has three important parts. The three girl cousins at the sea beach can be seen in the photograph. The poet sees an old photograph. It shows the poet's mother and her two cousins, Betty and Dolly, standing at a sea beach and enjoying the sea holiday. The poet's mother is at that time a girl of 12. She stood there smiling. Her uncle captured the sweet smile of the poet's mother in the photograph. They were seen laughing through their hair. The three cousins stood at the sea beach. The waves washed their terribly transient feet. Here, that is alliteration, terribly transient feet. Here, the last line suggests that human beings are mortal, and the nature is immortal. Sea is not changing a lot. The sea has remained almost the same, but the mortal, three girls have changed a lot. So human being is mortal, where the nature is immortal. 20 or 30 years later, time flew on wings. 20 or 30 years passed. The poet remembered how her mother, laughed when she looked at the photograph. She pointed out to her two cousins how they were dressed for the sea holiday. That was a very funny way they were dressed, and so looking at the photograph, the mother pointed to Dolly and Betty and just made a funny remark how they were dressed at that occasion. The sea holiday was the past of the poet's mother, and that will never come back. In the similar way, the smile in the photograph, the beautiful smile, the sweet smile of the poet's mother in the photograph, is the poet's past. The poet cannot retain that beautiful smile of her mother. It is gone now. So both in both feels a sense of loss. The poet feels a sense of loss because she will not be able to retain that beautiful smile in the photograph, and that beauty and the charm that they had at the time of enjoying the holiday, and the poet will not be able to see the sweet smile of her mother, and she will never be able to see, she will never be able to retain. So both of them have a sense of loss, and they are trying to bear the loss with an ease. So they are striving hard to bear the loss with an ease. Now the mother is dead. She died almost years ago, And now the poet has nothing to say. She has silently, you know, labored to bear the loss of her mother. Now some lines. The cardboard shows me how it was when the two girl cousins went paddling, each one holding one of my mother's hands, and and see the big girl, some 12 years or so. All three stood still to smile through their hair at and the uncle at the uncle with the camera. Now the meaning of this stanza. The poet looks at the cardboard frame of an old photograph. The photograph showed the two girls' cousin holding the hand of the poet's mother and standing at the sea beach enjoying the sea holiday. Out of those three girls, the mother was the eldest one. She was the eldest of the three. Perhaps she was almost 12 years old at that time. All of them were standing at the sea beach enjoying the holiday. They stood silently, smiling through their hair, watching at the uncle who was there to capture their photograph. Now, the question, what does the cardboard show? The cardboard shows the poet's mother. She was standing at the sea beach with her two girl cousins, Betty and Dolly. Now, the second question, do you see the poet in the photograph? No, the poet is not in the photograph. She was not even born at that time. Who was the big? The big girl was the poet's mother. She was perhaps 12 years old. Who was standing with a camera? Uncle was standing with a camera in his hand to take the photograph of these three girls. Explain. Went paddling. Yeah, went paddling means they were just wading or walking in water, in shallow water. Transient feet. Here, the poet is emphasizing the contrast between the human being and the nature. The sea has hardly changed, but the sea water was washing their terribly transient, feet, because they have now been mortal. So human being is mortal and short lived. On the contrary, nature hardly undergoes change. Nature is immortal. And the last, questions, that is board questions. What was the occasion? Why did they go there? The occasion was the sea holiday. The three girls, Dolly, Betty, and the poet's mother, went for, enjoying the sea holiday. Actually, they were enjoying the sea holiday. All the three, waded through the shallow water. They were happy and having a good fun. The uncle stood there with a camera and they were smiling at him. And the last question, explain. The sea holiday was the past, mine in her laughter. Yes, the the time spares now. Time never spares anyone. Time spares none. Gone are the childhood days of the poet's mother. The sea holiday became her past. The photograph flashes back to the scene of, that time that was captured about 30 years ago. Gone is the carefree laughter of the sweet girl who was just 12 at that time. That was the poet's mother. For the poet, the laughter of the mother was her past, and it has become a thing of the past. So, in a nutshell, we can say that the poem highlights the two contrasting feature. The the feature is that both the poet and the poet's mother, suffers loss, and that loss is very difficult to bear. So they are laboring hard. They are they are trying to, bear the loss at an ease. The poet is trying to forget about her nostalgic feelings towards her mother, and she wants to forget the sweet smile of her mother when she was alive, because that is giving her pain. And the poet's mother was also, missing that beautiful moment, because now she is no more. So the death of the poet's mother has left behind, if nostalgic feeling. So whenever the poet looks at that photograph, she falls into the nostalgic, memory, and she starts recalling that very beautiful smile of her mother, which now she cannot retain, because the poet's mother is dead now. So this is a loss that the poet has to bear with greater difficulty, and that is why the in the last line it said that both undergo this loss and they are laboring hard to make it at an ease, or to bear it at an ease. The poet as well as her mother are about to bear this loss with an ease. So both of them suffer a sense of loss. The mother loses her carefree childhood. She cannot retain her beautiful moment of childhood. In the similar way, the poet's mother, the poet is also having the loss. The irony of this situation is that both of them struggle to bear the loss with a greater or with a terrible ease. This is the irony. Both of them are trying and are struggling hard to bear the loss with an ease. So that is not easy to bear the loss, because the loss that the poet has been suffering due to her mother's death is also very difficult to bear. And at that time, the poet, when looked at the photograph, she was also having the loss of her beautiful childhood, in which she was seen smiling in the photograph. So this is the nutshell of the entire poem, a photograph by Shirley Toulson, and I'm sure this will give you an idea when you will read the text. Thank you very much. Thanks. Have a nice day.